For Creamer Media's Polity, I'm Sane Dhlamini. Researcher and analyst Professor Raymond Suttner joins me for Suttner's View, a weekly commentary on South Africa's political scene. Welcome, Professor.
Morning.
You have previously written on the EFF use of red dresses. Now, what do you think of the latest moves forcing them to not wear those uniforms in the council chambers and the potential rule change that might affect them in the long run?
Yes, I think it's very important that we must understand that when people talk about lack of decorum or not being dressed in a fitting way, that these people are not untidy, they're not wearing dirty clothes, and the choice of clothes is a form of language. When you wear certain clothes, you are saying something sometimes. Like if you wear some yellow tie and a green shirt or whatever it is, that's not saying something. But when you wear red, you are speaking. Red is associated with Communist Party and trade unions, and it represents the blood of workers. And what the EFF is doing, which really irritates the Communist Party and COSATU, is that they are appropriating the symbols that the Communist Party particularly believes belongs to them. Secondly, when they wear overalls, but particularly when they wear the clothing of domestic workers, they are saying, "We are making you visible, mama. You, the most denigrated, disrespected, lowly worker in this country who is usually not able to be unionized. We are making you visible by dressing in the leading legislative chamber of the country and in various other chambers. By wearing these clothes, we are recognizing your importance by identifying ourselves with you." So dress has very important symbolic qualities. On the one hand, dress is used to identify yourself, to unify people sometimes, but also dress is used to distantiate people. In other words, when you wear dress, you are setting yourself off against the bosses. Or in the case of Gandhi, when he was against the use of British clothing, and buying British cloth and things like this, he was making a statement about the crippling of Indian industries, but he was also making a statement of distantiation, saying we are Indians, we are not British. Gandhi, incidentally, when he started off as a lawyer and all of this, was dressed like an English person, you see. But gradually, dress became more important, and he became self-conscious of the importance of how he represented himself. And he gradually wore less and less clothing, just a loincloth, in order to identify himself with the poorest of the poor. Also, there's this cap, which people call the Nehru cap. It's not from Nehru. Gandhi chose that cap, and he chose it from Indian cloth, the cheapest Indian cloth made in Kashmir. What is interesting also is that the ANC volunteers in the Defiance campaign and the Congress of the People campaign to make the Freedom Charter adopted that cap. And someone sent me photos of some meetings of the National Association of the Colored People in America, civil rights group, African Americans. They also have a cap, something like that. Now, I don't know if it is a direct link with Gandhi in their case. So, dress like other gestures, speak. Like if you hold your fist up, it means something. It can mean different things, the same gesture. Like fascists also have sometimes lifted their fists, but in the struggle in South Africa, it has meant certain things. The PAC does this, ANC used to do this, now it does this, etc. So it's very symbolically important. And ANC itself ought to recognize that when they say this is not dignified and is unbefitting the dignity of the chamber, their mothers and fathers are very often dressed in that way. So they are again insensitive to their own parents. Now, I'm not saying that the EFF, by adopting this, is necessarily going to identify themselves with the domestic workers and the poor, etc., etc. They're using the language of that, but they may or may not. But the ANC is not reading it properly. In the history of the ANC, you have a very important trial when Nelson Mandela was underground and he was caught in 1962 and he appeared in court, not the Rivonia trial. And he said, "I am a black man in a white man's court." So he was straight away saying, they don't have rights, you don't have a right to charge me because I am black and you are white. Every official in this court is white. So he was asserting his identity as a black man. But he also came dressed in the regalia of the Abatembu people. So he was also asserting, I am black, I am an African, and I am Abatembu. So that he was, some people don't seem to understand that if you say I come from Amachabe or whatever it is, that it's not, they're not all Xhosa, you know. It's not, the Xhosa is a language. Some of these people are distinct. The Xhosa, strictly speaking, refers to Amachaleka, Chachabe, and one other I've forgotten for the moment. So they have similar customs, but they have distinct cultures. So this is not a new thing to dress in a particular way, and there's a lot of other ways in which dress is used for symbolism. And I think the ANC can't just throw people out without recognizing how they are violating certain symbolism.
So how does it get resolved?
You see, I think that it's unconstitutional to suppress their wearing clothing. Now, when I was in the first Democratic Parliament, and I was on the Rules Committee with Geraldine Fraser-Moleketi and Johnny DeLange from the ANC at the time, and we had suggested that in Parliament there is no reason why people must wear suits every day. Now, we didn't have in mind symbolism. We just thought there are a number of parliaments in the world where people dress in a casual way, these Cuban shirts or safari suits and all sorts of stuff. Safari suits with a comb in your sock, you know. It's supposed to be the uniform of Afrikaners in South Africa. But so we felt that you could wear jeans because if the jeans are clean and neat and all of that, there's nothing disrespectful. And I don't know what happened to that recommendation because I didn't stay long in Parliament. But how I think this is going to develop now is that they're going to go to court. And it's likely that they will be forced to allow them to wear the uniform. That's my guess. But it's important, it shows you the way in which the politics of the ANC has got mixed up and erased and confused, and that they don't pick up that this thing ought to resonate with them, that they are really just trying to suppress something that is irritating them, not that they have a right to do it. So I think in the end, they ought to, if there were mature leaders, they would find a political way of compromising. In other words, we let you wear what you like, but please don't disrupt this or do this. So try and get some compromise. But you don't have people who are respected as leaders across party lines. It seems like Bantu Holomisa seems to be fairly well respected by people, but I mean, he's got 1% of the vote or something. So that's how I see it.
Thank you, Raymond. That was Professor Raymond Suttner speaking to Crema Media's Polity about whether policing EFF dress is an attack on constitutional rights.